So I guess there are no doubts. So let's start. Is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. So today we'll learn about something called file handling. So file handling is basically a way of fetching data from an external file. That is a file that does not exist inside from a file that is different from your source code file. That is your main file, alright. So we use the open keyword to access a file. The syntax is open, then the file name with the extension dot and sorry extension, and this should be under quotes or double quote. Alright, then the access method. Access method. Alright. So the major access methods are access modes are R, W, let me comment it, R, W, and A. Right. So I'll explain what these modes are right now. So let's say you open a file in the read mode, right? So then the file can only be read, right? It cannot be modified or changed in any way. When you open it in the W access mode, what happens is the file is completely cleaned. That is, whatever is inside the file is completely clean, and then you can write anything inside the file. That is, the file is the data inside the file is completely removed, and the pointer is set to the start point, that is 0. And then the last one is A. Alright, so this access mode basically what it does is it opens the file and it allows us to write something extra inside the file. That is, it does not clean out the data, but what it does is, let's say we have a file, right? This is a file. Yeah. Let's pretend this is a data in a file. So what R would do is, let's say this is the data in the file. This is just a comment. So what R would do is, when you read a file, a pointer is created that is placed at a point inside the file. With the help of the R access mode, it is placed at the 0th position, that is just before the first character. Right, and then what it does is it reads it, then it reads it like this, and it only reads it. It does not change the file. It cannot change the file in any way. Now, when we open the file in W mode, what happens is this is completely clean. Okay, and then you can type anything. Then you can input anything you want. And what this mode does is it basically puts the pointer at the end of the file, and then you can edit the file to an extent. Let's say this, right? This is the extra bit, right? So we'll try all of them right now. So let's say file is equals to open. Let's say test.txt, and we'll open it with the W method. Why I'm opening it with the W method? Because as you can see, the file is not here. When you open a non-existent file in the R method, it would pass out an error But when you open it with a W method, if the file does not exist, the file will be created and then imported. All right. So let's try running this. Yeah, as you can see, this is created right here. As you can see, this is empty right now because we did not type anything inside it. So let's type something inside it. Let's say, and then the method we use to write something is called dot write. Right. So let's say file dot write, and this was written using Python. Right. So when I run this, this is executed, and when I open this, you can see this is written right here. All right. Now, as I was saying, if I write something else here, this is another string. All right. Now, as you can see, I only changed this part, but when I run this again, you can see the last string has been completely removed, and the new string was written in place of it. Right. Now, let's say we do an A. All right. And then we put in this is yet another string. Let's put a space here. Yeah, so the process is finished, and when we come here, as you can see, this was here already, and this was put in right now. So I guess these two access methods are clear to you. Sorry, these two access methods are clear to you. All right. So I'll just comment it and change the access method. And to read something, you use the read function or the read line function or the read lines function. There are these three functions, and I'll explain what they are right now. So let's say I did this so that it is. I did this. Let's do it from here. So we'll put a few things inside file for now. So let's put in number 1, Rajasthan, number 2, and number 3. Now that we've written some data in the file, let's read this. When I use the .read function on it, let's say file .read. Like now when I print this, you can see the entire data is printed from the file exactly as it is. Now if I replace it with, let's say, read line and run it again, this time it only gets a single line. It is when it encounters a slash n, it stops reading and returns the let's say buffer to us, and then read lines and run it. So as you can see, what read lines does is exactly what read line does, but it reads all the lines together. Right. So what basically read lines is read line for all the lines. All right. So it reads this line, it encounters a slash n, as I was telling you right here, and then it moves to the next line. Sorry. It saves this to a list, and then moves to the next line, then saves the next line to the list, and then the next line to the list. Now, since this is a list, you can use a for loop with it. Right. So let's try with the for loop. For line in file dot then line let's put a double equation in front of it, right? And close it. So it prints this, all right. And when we used read lines, you saw there was a slash n right here, all right. Now, when you read it using a loop, the slash n is removed, and the slash n is converted to next line, and this is printed to the next line. So these are the major file methods. Now some let's just put here for now, and let's comment it out so it does not affect us. Now there are a few attributes to the file method. First of all is file dot close, right? Now what you do is, let's say right now this file, this test file, is attached to a stream. Uh, this is a weird concept to yes, but let's say this test file is attached to the main file, and if your system does not allow multiple accesses, this file cannot be used by any other program. All right. So if I, let's say, keep running the script while tool, or let's say if I put something here and let me comment it out. Yeah, there's a situation where it's waiting for an input, right? As you can see, it's waiting for an input right here, and until I put something, the process would not end. So let's say you open a file and you want to input a user type string inside the file. Now let's say for some due to some reason the input is delayed, then the other file which was supposed to access the file, this file, will not be able to access the file. All right. So if you do not do this thing file dot close, right, this is a file method which is very important. What it does is it closes the file connection. What it does is it closes the file connection and detaches the file from the program, right? And this is a very important thing. If you are using let's say application that executes multiple programs together. So if we run this now, the file dot print file dot closed. We do this, you can see this returns true. This part file dot closed attribute returns true. That means the file has been closed. If I do something like file dot read, let's say, to return an error because the IO operation on the file has been closed. So this returns the value IO operation on closed file. Right. So this is one attribute. Then if you want to know the mode with which we're accessing the file, you can use the attribute file dot mode, and let's say we so this tells you with which mode you are using it. uh, this will be useful. Let's say there is no file to read. All right. So let's say you append you use the append um, access method, and you want to know if you have completely deleted the file or you are writing something at the end of the file. You can use the file dot mode method to do that. So let's say you read a file using an R method, and you want to know if you can write something in it. So you can use file dot mode is equals to R, and if that returns true, you know you cannot write something inside the file, right? So you can use these attributes in this way. Now let's say you want to get the name of the file, so you use file dot the file dot name attribute, and I guess that is all the main attributes there is. So yeah, as I was telling you, so uh, how does Python read a file? All right, we have completed the syntax, but how does Python actually read a file? All right. So when we open a file, what it does is, according to the access method, it puts a pointer inside the file object. Let's say this is the file object. Yeah, let's pretend this is a file object. This is just a file. Let's pretend. So if you use the R method, it puts the pointer right here. And if you use the W method, it deletes this and puts the pointer uh, at position 0. And if you use A, it puts the position at the end of the file position right here, right after the 3. So you can even grab the um, file pointer position using the function called help. All right, so I'll use it right now. Let's say I read a file, and let's say print file dot read file dot help. Let's say when we print this, it returns 0. That is, it is the pointer or the cursor, let's say, is at the 0th position inside the file. That is, it is right here. All right. So let's say if I do file dot read line, and then print the cursor location, you can see the cursor location has completely changed. Right, it has moved here at position 51. All right, as you can see here, this is, as you can see right here, this is line 1 and the 50th point. All right, sorry, as you can see right here, we are at 1:50. That means the first line and let's say the 50th column, if we take every character as a, sorry, as a row, so we are at here, and if I move it back, you see this changes to 49. If I move it back, this changes to 48. So this is what the tell method fetches, the position of uh, the position of the pointer, the cursor. Right now, let's say, yeah, so that is all there is to the tell function. Now let's say we want to change the location of the cursor, so we use the seek function. Let's say print file dot read line, right? So when you print this, there's an e missing. We do this and it reads the first line, then we print file dot tell. It tells us that it's at the 51st position. Then we do something like file dot seek, and let's put a position, let's say 10, and then we print file dot read line again. You can see what happens. As you can see, first of all, the entire line is printed and it reaches the position 51. Alright, it is after the slash n. You must remember that it is 51 because there's a slash n at the end, right here. Right. So then we tell the pointer to move back to the position 10. Alright, so let's count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so the pointer is right here when we tell it to seek 10. And then we tell it to print the line, so it prints from here to here. Alright, so yeah, this is basically all there is to file handling basically. So you must remember these methods. The seek method is used a lot. Let's say you read the file completely, and let me comment this in this. Right. Now, if I use two consecutive print read methods, file dot read method. When we do this, this is printed all right, from this statement. But as you can see, this statement is not printed at all. This happens because, let's say, the pointer when it read the file is here. Right. When we again call the read function, uh, it will start reading from right here, and because there's nothing here, it will not print anything. Right. So the seek method can be used as, say, file, and let's put it to 0. And as you can see, this is printed 2 times because what happens is it reads the file, it moves to the end, and we tell it to move it to 0 here, and then it moves to the end again. Right. So you must remember the most important file methods are uh, obviously the open method, then the write method, the read, the read methods, all type of read methods. The tell method is used, I guess it is never used because I've never used it. And the seek method. The seek method is also important. Right. So let's look at some more methods. Give me a second, please. I have a text I will respond to and get back to you. So I'll remove this and let's create a file object again. Open test.txt, and then let's open it in the read method. Alright. So let me think of some more methods if I remember. Yeah. Let me tell you something more. Okay, let's say we open the file in the w method, and then we use the method dot write lines, like, and then we pass in a list. Let's say number 1 then put the comma here, then num- number 2, then number 3, and number 4. When we do this is finished executing, and we go here and it prints number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Now, as you can see, I did not put a slash in right here. So let's say if I put a slash in front of every line except the last one, because the last one would not require a slash in. And then I run it again. As you can see now, all of these are printed in a separate line. Right. So let me just do tell you another method called truncate. Right. So let's file has been opened and let's seek it to 0. Right. Then let's file dot truncate and file dot close. And never forget to close a file. Right. This finishes completely, and as you can see, the file is empty now. Because what happens is the truncate option cleans the file to a certain size. All right. As you can see, when I type truncate here, as you can see, the signature self and the size. I'll tell you what the self is when we study about classes. Right. And then there's this size thing. Right. So let me just um, let's open it with W method and file dot write. This is a long string. Then we do this so that we can write it here. This returns, we can now test the truncate size a little bit. Let's say 1. Right. Now let's do this and we go here. Okay, yeah, sorry. Wait a second. Okay, yeah, the size methods works using the this method, right? To write something again. Oh yeah, I open it with a W. I have to open it with a tab. So let's write something here. Write this is a test. Let's. I'll go through the code again. This opens the file, cleans it, and then writes it here. Then it seeks 0. That is it will go to the start, and then it will remove the first character. Right. This is finished executing, and we go here, and use as you can see, only the T is left. Like if I write 10 and run this again, you can see everything after the 10 bits. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Okay. So what the truncate method does is it is basically used to resize your file. Like when I say 10, this means the size of the file will only be 10 bytes. Or if I say 20 bytes and run it, the size of this file test.txt will be 20 bytes. And if I remove this completely, what this means is this size is 0. That is the default value of the size is 0, and it basically removes everything. Alright, so that's basically it for the file handling part. And since there's some time left, I guess I will tell you about renaming the set files. Right. So Python comes with a lot of inbuilt libraries, and one of these is in the OS library. What the OS library does is basically whatever your command prompt can do. Right. Almost everything your command prompt can do and more. Right. So let's say I don't know if you know command prompt commands, but there is a rename command, there's a remove command, there's a change directory command, and there's this rename directory command. There's a lot of commands in the partial or CMD, and OS can mimic them almost the same way. So let's say OS dot rename, and we want to rename the test of txt so that it becomes change dot t, and then we run this. File cannot, the system cannot find the file specifier. How can it not find the file? Let me just check why is that error coming. So we can do something like OS, not VCOS, dot get CWD, and that will tell what the issue is. And it is in the T folder. Okay, it is not TEXT, it is TXT. So this has finished executing. And you can see the file that was text has been changed to change.txt. Right. So always check for such errors. Now let's say the same thing. Keep it same and let's use whatever we have used. We have used the rename method. Let's use the remove method. As remove test.txt. We do this. Okay, I've changed the name again. Change.txt now. Do this, it is finished executing, and as you can see, there is no change.txt now. Right. So the OS module has a lot of, let's say, methods, and I'll tell you about them right now. So let's open an interactive Python shell. All right. Now I told you to do this because now you can do something like dir OS and enter. Now you can see this long list, right? Now this list is basically everything the OS module has. So like there's this open module, there's this make directory module, the method, sorry, or the module, and there's this dev path module, then there's this get environment module. Alright, so you can do a lot of things with the interactive, let's say interactive Python shell. Alright, so let's say os dot we used the remove function, right? We do this, and as you can see, it tells me the signature of how it is used. It tells me a short description, and then it tells me what the errors could be. Alright, so you should basically learn to use the PowerShell to its full extent. Alright, so the most important function to use in the interactive shell is the dir method. Like what it basically does is, let's say dir open. dir open, it tells you all the methods it has. Like now these slash the underscore methods will be something that we'll learn about when we study classes. Alright, so you can ignore these right now. For example, you can ignore this method because it starts with the underscore. You can ignore this method because it starts with a double underscore. So if you ever want to try different methods using the dir function, for now you can ignore the double underscore methods because we'll learn about them in the coming classes when we learn about classes and object-oriented programming, because these are special kind of methods, right, which cannot be simply called. So yeah, you can look into that. And let me give an example. Module can we use? Um, yeah, let's say packages where we start with the C ones. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, I think I, yeah. So let me just, in the coming classes we'll learn something called TECHNOPHILIA. Alright, so I'll just give you a short summary. Okay, so I use dir TECHNOPHILIA to see this long list right here. But now this is a very important. This is very useful because what you can do is you can, let's see, you can search this over the net, and then you can, not even the net, you can just say help TECHNOPHILIA dot get, and let's say we check this part, like the baseline method. We say baseline. I don't get to work. Let's try. No Python documentation. Or so you can use the dir method with the help method inside the interactive shell. Only inside the interactive shell. Never use them in your program. Right. Inside the interactive shell, you can use these to, let's say, um, experiment with the modules. Right. So this is something that will come as you improve your skills, but it is a fine technique to go into the method, go into the modules, check what methods they support, and discover something yourself rather than look everything over the internet. Right. So I guess basically this is it. Yeah. So I want you to go over the OS, lowercase OS module, and um, experiment with the methods you find there, because in the coming assignment I'll give you around 5 to 6 questions, and one of them will use the OS method, one will use the file handling method, and stuff like that. And there will be at least 2 questions which will use external libraries like OS library and the system library. Right. So I need you to look into the OS library first, because this is one of the most useful libraries, because it helps you control your environment from Python itself. Right. So the time is 4:15. So I guess that's it for today. And let's stop sharing. Yeah. So tomorrow I guess we'll go with try accept, which is a very small portion. Then we'll start with classes, and by Sunday I'll finish the core Python, and then we'll start with around 3 sessions of GUI programming, that is graphical user interface, Then we'll go with databases. I guess two classes of scraping we can do so you can understand how the internet works. And then we'll move to Flask. So after Sunday, that is from Monday, you need to be much more attentive because the things you learn right here will be implemented there. And because it will be a lot complex, I can explain the things to you, but you will have to understand them yourself through hit and trial by doing those things inside your own PC. Right. So I see a few doubts, Mr. Ashutosh. Truncate similar to max length in HTML for limiting the size. Mr. Ashutosh, I'm not much familiar with HTML, but um, as much I've used HTML, which is only a little bit, I've never used the max length method, so I'm sorry I cannot help you with that. And Mr. Sorry, Ms. Pavitra said the screen was stuck and then it was fine 2 minutes later. All that. So if anyone has any doubts regarding today's session, they can ask me now. And by Sunday we'll finish this core Python. And I guess tomorrow I'll give you an assignment with 4 to 5 questions. Right? So if anyone has any doubt, they can ask me right now. Okay, so I see no doubts. So I guess that's it for today's class. And thank you everyone. Now you can leave. Santosh ma'am, please conclude the meet. That is stop the recording.
Yes, yes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you everyone. Thank you ma'am.